Hey there everybody, here we are again, All Season Adventures. Last we left you guys, we were working on the 84 F150. We got those lights wired all in. These guys saw last, they're working except for the nearest one to us. That one has a broken bulb. And we still got to put silicone on that third light. We will put that later on today. And what we're going to go through this episode anyhow is whenever you have a vehicle that's been sitting for a while, there's a few little quick little maintenance stuff I like to do to mine at least. You do whatever you want with yours. This is just my suggestion, but like that, we're going to service the brakes. We're going to change all the fluids in this truck, even the coolant, do a proper coolant flush. And yeah, so that's what the plan is for this episode. We're going to start off with the brakes, then change the motor oil, and we'll see how far we get into. But anyhow, without further ado, let's get those rear wheels off. Okay, so now we have all of our brake area kind of clean. We just examined it a bit, make sure, because it is getting old and rusty. Just examining, making sure that the backing plate is not rusted straight through. I can tell it is getting thinner, but we're still good for now. We'll just recheck next year as we keep going. And the brake pads, I just checked the service manual. There they say they have to, the minimum is 1/8 of an inch from our little plate on the metal plate. So just going to measure this quickly. And measure it from the middle here. Got a bit over 1/4 of an inch, so we got twice the bare minimal, so we're good there for a while. And yeah, same with both sides, yeah. So basically, yeah, just make sure all the parking brake stuff, cables are all good, all the springs seem to be in good condition, still there. And yeah, just make sure everything's nice and tight in there and snug. And so, yeah, I'm going to put this back together and take apart the other side. So stay tuned. Next we'll probably go over the oil. Cheers. Okay, you guys can see, got our drum all painted, looking a little bit prettier. So as we were saying earlier, as you go through these, just make sure all your springs are all intact. All your, I'm not sure what they're called, but your little holder springs there at the end, they're all in place. Give it a little shake, make sure everything's all nice and snug, and you also inspect, make sure you don't see any big cracks or anything messed around here. Everything looks good. Same with the inside of your drum. Quickly give it a once over, make sure you don't see it all cracked and broken. And then again, don't necessarily take advice from me. I just do what I do and make do. So I'm sure there's other videos on how to do this brake change properly if you want to, but this is how I do it and what's been working for me. So like that, I'm far by no means no expert. I'm just keeping these old dinosaurs going. So it works for me. Will it work for you? I hope so if you do it this way. But anyhow, time for me to put this back together. Put our wheel that hasn't leaked any air over the weekend, which is good. Freshly painted rim. Make it look pretty. So let's get to work. We're going to change the oil now, but before you change the oil, it's always a good idea to warm up the engine first, because this way your engine gets running and it mixes up the oil. So if there's any sediment particles that are at the bottom, it'll mix them up in your oil, and that way they can drain the dirty oil in your oil pan when you drain it. And at the same time, we'll see if my choke adjustment worked or not. So let's fire it up. Oh yeah, I'm going to open up the garage door a bit too. Always make sure you have a little bit of ventilation, because you don't want to gas yourself. That's not good. Hold on a second. First, it helps when your battery's hooked up. Okay, not sure if you can see me or not, but here we are underneath the vehicle again. Here's our oil pan, our drain plug. Be careful not to touch your exhaust parts here, because it could be a little bit hot if you ran your engine for a bit. Now let's quickly see what we got. If you're working on an old Ford, it'll be a 22 milliliter socket. Millimeter? I always say milliliter for some reason. I like to bastardize lots of words. You got the drain pan nearby. Ah, great. So our light just died on us. Yeah, captured the oil. So anyhow, gonna let that drain, and next we will remove the oil filter. Oh yeah, another thing that's not a bad idea to do. I don't normally do it, but it's not a bad idea to have a little clean bucket. Capture a bit of oil and examine it, see if you see any metal particles, if it looks really ugly. Send it for testing for all I care, but not a bad idea to just have a clean bucket, take a quick look at your oil, see what it looks like, and examine it. So anyhow, next we will go up top. Cheers. Oh yeah, and while that oil's draining, if you got body work to do, like I do here, that's where it's not a bad idea to tackle that and tackle that for a few minutes, 5-10 minutes. Then the oil should be completely drained, and then we can go into the oil filter and so on. So anyhow, let's go to some body work. Okay, next we got our oil filter right around there. I just use, not the best, but one of these strap wrenches. I wish I had a proper oil filter wrench, but I don't, so we use this and we get it done. And I did reposition my drain pan underneath, so hopefully it catches it. Okay, next what you do, got your new oil filter. Got a bit of oil in this cap, so just for demonstration purposes, just put a bit of oil on your finger, dropping stuff all over the place, and then you just want to lightly coat that gasket with some oil, just so it goes on smoothly. And next we're going to screw that back in place, where the other one came out. Somewhere under here. And then typically you have instructions right on the filter itself, as in oil it, and then as soon as it touches, then you add like a 3/4 of a turn. Quarter, half, ish. And another thing too, I should add actually, your oil filter, always check, make sure that the gasket is still on there and not actually stuck on the filter housing, because if you have two seals there, that will actually cause leakage. You think two seals would be, hey, double the improvement, but in this case, it may not be. So, and yeah, I already put in the drain plug back in. Don't forget that, because otherwise you'll be wasting oil when you pour it in. So, next, let's put some oil, check the fluid levels, and be good to go. Cheers. Again, I'm not sponsored by Castrol Synthetic, but hey, Castrol, if you want to give me some free oil, I definitely really appreciate it. Okay, so we already serviced the rear brakes, just went over it quickly, make sure everything's all in good shape. Now for the front brakes, if you want to do it quickly, you can just take an old peekaboo through here. I don't have a light right now, but check the brake pads, and I did look, they got lots of meat on them, they're good to go. But we're going to go to 9 yards and take our brake caliper off and re-grease all the sliding pins that go in and out, just to make sure everything functions good, because I don't think I've done it since, I have changed all the brake components, but I haven't serviced the brakes in a while. So while we'll get her done, make sure that the brakes, make sure that the brakes will treat us good this winter. So without further ado, let's remove this. Oh yeah, and I gotta tell you guys too, most vehicles usually have 2 bolts on the back. Unbolt, remove your brake caliper, and you're good to go. This is a little bit more awkward. You have 1 bolt here, and then you have to hammer your locking pin out. The other side is actually solid right now, so hopefully this side goes smoother, and let's see if it does. So basically all this is, you have your little spring locking bar, so that slides in like that and locks everything tight. Basically what we're doing now is grab a wire brush, and we're going to have some brake clean all the, pretty much any surface that the brake pad slides against. We brush them all clean, I'm gonna put some anti-seize or something like that. There is actual proper brake grease that you put on, but some people will tell you not to put anti-seize or grease near brake components, but I'll put something like that just where the brake pads do go back and forth, just so they go smooth and prevents rust from going underneath. So, like I say, don't necessarily do it how I do it, but so far I've been keeping these old dinosaurs alive and I haven't had any accidents in them yet. So, anyhow, I'm going to keep on going back to work. Okay, like I was saying earlier, I just finished cleaning this surface down here and the surface down here, pretty much where our brake pads will be going against. So what I do, like that, there is proper brake grease for this, but I've just been putting anti-seize on there. It'll just stop any rust, you know, it'll prevent rust from coming back and haunting us in the future. So little dab there, then a little dab here, one pad here. This one goes there. This one actually does not really ride against anything. This one is the stationary one. So that one can go back in its home here. And then this can slide back in place. Actually put a little bit of anti-seize on all these touching parts, just so it prevents any issues from the future down the road. Now we're talking. Okay, we're getting close to wrapping this video up, but before we do that, first we have to send a shout out to a good old buddy of mine, Craig, who was the only guy who last week sent me a reminder to put some silicone on this here roof light. So let's quickly get that done, and then we'll get ready with our conclusion. So Craig, thanks a lot, and thanks again for watching. Here we go, pretty. So anyhow, going to quickly go over everything we've done last week, and then we'll finish off. So as you guys saw, we put some silicone there. We serviced the rear brakes. We serviced the front brake. Painted our air breather cover and intake. And you guys didn't see, but I did put a brand new vent line that goes from my air breather down below. You also painted this here, so that's looking a lot prettier. Same with this spot here, we had some rust, sanded that down, painted that up. Wheels looking a lot better now. And this, oh yeah, got our dome light working awesome. It's way better. And last night I just ordered some new coil springs. So with that being said, what we're gonna do next week. Next week the plan, we'll probably start next week's video with me. Since I got pretty much all this side looking all nice and pretty, we're gonna back the truck up, turn it around, start working on the passenger side. This way we'll have more room on this side than on that side. Work on a tailgate. And one thing I'm not sure if I'll do or not, for the coil springs, it's gonna take at least, what did they say, 4 to 5 weeks I think before it even gets shipped here. That's coming from somewhere in Ontario. T-Dot Performance, you may have heard of them. First time I ordered anything from them, so hopefully they were good. And I also got some different headlights that'll come in from them, so hopefully that makes an improvement. But with the old coil spring, I'm thinking about removing it, try to grind it, broken into a point, and welding them together, and just see if it'll last to 4 or 5 weeks. It's not something I recommend, but might give it a shot. So anyhow, stay tuned for that. And until next time, everybody, I appreciate all the views and all the comments and everything. So until next time, remember to live, everybody, and cheers.